Is Nahida worth your Primogems? That is a question we all have to ask ourselves, whether you're free to play and you're a brokey like me, or whether you are a whale and you can buy whatever you want. We all have the same question. Is she going to be worth it? Is she going to be meta? We have so many questions, so little answers, but hopefully I can answer these questions for you here with this video. But we got to go back to the origin. So we got to talk more on her kit, kind of understand how it works, and then we can kind of discuss the question on whether it is worth your Primogems on playing for Nahida for you. Okay, so first and foremost, Nahida is a Dendro character. The Dendro Archon, actually, the god of Dendro, as we all know. And let me just get the first, I guess, obvious point out of the window. She's an Archon, and usually Archons are just brain dead broken. And me personally, I can't really see an Archon being this horribly bad. We have all seen Raiden in 2.1 when she first got released. She's still broken up until this day, and Archons, I personally believe, are always going to be future-proof. With that out of the way, let's go into Nahida's kit. So Nahida is a Dendro Catalyst user. Her autos are infused with Dendro, which means all of her auto attacks will do Dendro damage. Her elemental skill, on the other hand, though, which is very, very interesting, all schemes to know, essentially there is an E-tap, which has a 5-second cooldown, and an E-hold, which has a 6-second cooldown. And essentially what this does is it basically applies the Seed of Skanda, which marks enemies with a Dendro kind of mark. It's kind of like Riptide, not so much like Child, but it kind of has that similarity of Child's Riptide. But yeah, essentially it applies the Dendro mark onto the enemies. So with the E-tap, it marks around 8 enemies that are kind of close to you. I don't know what the range is exactly, but there'd be no point of the hold version if it was a ride AoE radius. And the E-hold, you can kind of zoom in with the little camera mode and tag the enemies manually. Basically, it does Dendro damage whenever you proc an elemental reaction on the tagged enemy with the Seed of Skanda. This can be used in terms of Nahida as an off-field support unit. So maybe you're running Dendro comps, Bloom, Hyper Bloom, you're running Aggravate, you can use her off-field, granted that you use her elemental skill, all schemes to know. So in this aspect, Nahida is going to be very, very good as an off-field Dendro applier, as let's be real here, all we really have at the moment is 3 Dendro characters, Tighnari, Collei, and Dendro MC, and which 2 of are basically on-field applicators, Dendro MC and Collei. Collei not the best really, but Nahida is definitely going to be able to fill this spot as a really solid on-field Dendro applicator. Alright, so let's move on to her Elemental Burst, Illusory Heart. So Elemental Burst is this huge dome type of field. It has a huge AoE radius, and what's really interesting about her Elemental Burst is that there's 3 ways where you can get different outcomes depending on the team comp that you're running with Nahida. So with Pyro, it'll essentially allow her E damage, her all schemes to know. The mark is basically, whenever it procs damage with an elemental reaction, it is Tri-Karma Purification, which is basically Dendro damage. And whenever you have a Pyro character, this will allow Nahida to do more damage on the Tri-Karma Purification whenever there's a Pyro character on the field in her Elemental Burst. With Electro, on the other hand, it's a little different. Essentially, with Electro, her Tri-Karma Purification, the intervals in which the Dendro damage procs will be decreased. So it might be 2.5 seconds. It might be 2.5 seconds intervals. I have dementia. So yeah, it's not that long of an interval. It's basically the standard ICD in the game currently, internal cooldown, if you don't know, by the way. So Electro with Nahida will cause the Tri-Karma Purification damage, the intervals to lessen and be much more frequent. And if you add Hydro into the equation, this will allow Nahida's Elemental Burst duration to get increased. And also with all of these reactions, Pyro and Electro and Hydro, that we've just went through, all of these different type of reactions within her Elemental Burst, if you have 2 of the same element of Pyro, Electro, or Hydro, this will further increase these effects. So her Elemental Burst is very, very interesting. There's a lot of different things you can do with it, depending on the team comp that you run. Okay, so now that we have a general idea of how she works, the on-field Dendro application with her E, she's kind of like a sub DPS in that way too, as she can do damage on-field, and you can even run her as an on-field driver as she is a Dendro Catalyst. And also her Elemental Burst has different synergies, and I just find her kit very, very intriguing, and especially as an Archon, and that we don't have much Dendro characters currently in the game, I think this is going to be a very, very substantial character and a very strong character, quote-unquote meta-wise, that's going to be added in 3.2 by the name of Nahida, of course. So let's talk a little bit about Nahida team comps. So in terms of Nahida, if you look at the 2 recent characters that were dropped in the game, Cyno and Nilou, Nahida is going to be very, very strong, even a pillar, so to say, in those team comps, as again, we only really have Collei and Dendro MC, and if you look at Cyno comps and we look at Nilou comps, Nahida is going to most likely be able to replace maybe Dendro MC or Collei, depending on your needs. She's going to be a very, very strong character in those team comps going forward. And again, you know, she's the Dendro Archon. I gotta reiterate that Archons are basically future-proof and they're completely broken. So if you are looking to build more Dendro-related team comps, again, Aggravate, Hyperbloom, Burgeon, also not really the best Burgeon, Burn and team comps and whatnot, Nahida is most likely going to be the pickup for you. Alright? Overall, if you are still on the fence about Nahida, on whether you should be pulling her or not, I would honestly just wait a bit. See what people have to say about her. Don't rush and pull if you really are on the fence. I don't want any of you guys to regret it. But yeah, back to the question on whether she is a must pull or not. Honestly, I want to say yes, but at the same time, it is very, very subjective on you as an individual, the player of the game. Everybody has their own different accounts, their different priorities, what they want to build, what they don't want to build. And if you really are running Dendro related comps, then I think Nahida is definitely a must pull for you. But if you're not really focusing on Dendro related comps, then she may not be worth it. Maybe you're saving for Yai, your child on the road in the second half of 3.2, or maybe even future characters like Alhaitham or Dia in the future as well. But yeah, that is essentially it. I'm personally be pulling for Nahida. I'll be doing polls on Tuesday night around 11 PM EST when 3.2 drops. So if you guys want to see those polls, definitely subscribe. It'll help out a lot. But yeah, let me know in the comment section down below whether you're going to be pulling for Nahida. Let me know if you think she's going to be broken, if she's a must pull. I would love to hear it. I'll definitely be checking out all of the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like or subscribe. It'll help out the channel a lot. And I hope to see all of you guys in the next one.
Told my brothers one day we gon' make it. We just gotta grind for that paycheck. Mama told me one day I'll be famous. Remember when she used to say she hate this? Back then they would laugh when I say shit. Now I'm inside all them people's playlists.